You think you are buying the brand new M5 Max Studio this summer. But you are not. And it is not because Apple suddenly forgot how to manufacture computers. It is because the entire tech industry just quietly hijacked your upgrade. I know exactly what some of you are thinking. Apple always releases their professional-grade Macs around the WWDC event in June. Well, the rules just completely changed. I am going to show you exactly why your next high-end Mac is currently locked up in a massive data center somewhere. And more importantly, the specific day you absolutely must have your credit card ready if you want any chance of getting one this year. But here is the thing, this delay is actually hiding something much bigger about the M5 Ultra chip itself. For months, the expectation, fueled by credible folks over at Bloomberg and deep supply chain reports, was a neat and tidy summer launch. It made perfect sense. But now, that timeline is officially dead. Apple is aiming directly for October. And no, this is not just Tim Cook deciding to hold back your tech for fun. This massive delay comes down to a global shortage of high-performance memory. You guys remember the early dial-up internet days? Back when you could not make a simple phone call if someone else in the house was trying to load an AOL web page. It is exactly like that, but with billions of dollars on the line. Huge data centers, massive server farms, and major tech conglomerates building their AI infrastructure are hoovering up high-bandwidth memory at a totally ridiculous rate. They are buying it by the literal truckload to train massive language models. So when Apple calls up their suppliers to secure memory for your Mac Studio, they are standing in a very long line behind companies throwing blank checks at silicon. Your premium workstation is basically collateral damage in the giant AI gold rush. And honestly, this changes everything about how you need to plan your next major purchase. If you look closely at the current Mac Studio lineup right now, you can already see the cracks forming in the system. Go ahead and try to order a fully loaded M2 Ultra right now. Try to give Apple thousands of your hard-earned dollars. They simply will not take it, because they have zero inventory available for those higher tiers. Certain high-end configurations are straight up out of stock. And you know a global situation is terrible when one of the most profitable companies on the face of the earth refuses to take your money. Now, taking this into account, what do you think happens when October finally rolls around? Launching a brand new M5 Mac Studio does not magically fix a broken global supply chain. If anything, the new M5 Ultra processor is going to demand even faster, significantly denser memory, putting way more pressure on the exact same strained suppliers. It is like trying to build a massive fleet of brand new Corvettes when someone just bought up all the V8 engines in the world. Apple has two choices here. They either launch the M5 Mac Studio with lower RAM options, which they absolutely will not do because that makes it a technical downgrade. Or, they launch it in October, and it instantly becomes the hardest Apple product to buy since people were camping outside stores for the original iPhone. This is not just hype or fear-mongering. It is just basic supply and demand math. But let us take a breath, forget the bad news for a minute, and talk about what to expect from the M5 Ultra itself. Because the benchmark numbers we are seeing are borderline offensive. The Ultra, as you know, is essentially two Max chips fused together. So whatever massive gains we just saw with the M5 Max, you can go ahead and double that right now. Apple uses a technology called fusion architecture. Instead of relying on one giant piece of silicon that gets way too hot and draws massive power, they take two individual processors and make them communicate as a single unified brain. It is the engineering equivalent of taking two massive engines, bolting them together, and getting them to idle perfectly in complete silence on your desk. NASA called. They want their aeronautical engineering back. The performance numbers are just silly at this point. A 16-inch MacBook Pro running the new M5 Max chip with an 18-core CPU is hitting multi-core scores around 29,000. Just to put that into perspective for you, the current M3 Ultra desktop processor, which is a giant 32-core beast, averages around D27,000. Let that sink in for a second. A laptop processor running on battery power is now beating a massive 32-core desktop workstation. That is insane to think about. To give you an exact percentage, The M5 Max laptop chip is about 5% faster than the M3 Ultra desktop chip. And I know 5% does not sound like a massive revolution to experienced buyers, but you have to remember you are comparing a laptop chip to an Ultra chip that literally has double the core count. That is like a daily driver family sedan beating a dedicated track car off the starting line. Now, I want you to imagine taking that incredible M5 Max laptop performance, scaling it all the way up to Ultra territory, and throwing it inside a well-cooled metal box on your desk. The CPU performance and the graphical headroom are going to absolutely chew through anything you throw at them. Whether you are rendering massive 3D environments or compiling huge blocks of code. But will it actually look any different sitting on your desk? Honestly, do not expect a single change to the outside of that aluminum cube. Apple absolutely nailed the thermal design of the Mac Studio from day one. And they are notoriously stubborn about squeezing every last drop of life out of a successful chassis. You guys remember the old Mac Mini design that stuck around longer than most marriages? Or the giant aluminum cheese grater Mac Pro from back in the day? Yeah, the Mac Studio design is not going anywhere anytime soon. Personally, I would kill for a space black version. Tactical desert titanium might be pushing the military aesthetic a bit too far, but a matte black Mac Studio would look incredibly mean sitting next to a Pro Display XDR. But let us be real here. As experienced professionals, we do not care if it looks like a silver toaster, just as long as it renders our 8K video timelines quietly in the background. So here is the final verdict, and exactly where we close that loop from the beginning of the video. Should you wait for this M5 beast, or just buy what is available today? If you are sitting on an older Intel machine, or even an early Apple Silicon Mac, waiting for October makes a ridiculous amount of sense. The jump to the M5 architecture will feel like upgrading from an old rotary phone to a flagship smartphone. But remember what I said about your credit card earlier. Because of this massive AI memory shortage, October is going to be an absolute bloodbath for availability. If you rely on this kind of computing power to make a living, you cannot afford to casually wait a few weeks, watch a dozen reviews, and then decide to buy. By that point, shipping times will have slipped all the way into 2027. You need to act on day one. The exact second the Apple Store comes back online after the announcement event, you buy it. For everyone else buying it just for the flex, you can probably afford to be a bit more relaxed about the whole situation. It is a serious balancing act between incredible desktop performance and brutal real-world supply constraints. Are you going to hold out and fight the crowds for the M5 Ultra in October? Or is this memory shortage pushing you to just buy an M4 Max today? Let me know your exact strategy down in the comments.